So I mentioned the mutation where we have high adrenaline.
Mm-hmm.
That means our brain has too much gas.
Yeah.
So that itself, these mutations are linked to anxiety. That's why I've suffered from anxiety in the past. You could also have mutations where you don't produce as much GABA. GABA is what calms down your brain. Think of that as the brakes. So you could have someone, whether you have too much gas, not enough brakes, it's kind of the same overall effect. The brain keeps going quickly. Or you could have both, and it's even more intense. So that's the genetic side. It's more complicated than that, but there's many different pathways that cumulatively will create your overall brain chemistry. Then there's the whole, that's the nature side. The nurture side is, childhood traumatic events, trauma, stuff like that, and
routine habits that someone may or may not be doing that could cause anxiety.
Exactly.
Am I a shopaholic? Do I spend all my money and now it's all gone, and then I am anxious at the end of the month every single time the end of the month comes?
Yeah, it's like that, or even like traumas can imprint you, so it'll change the expression of your genes, not the genetic code, but epigenetics is how more or less you express a protein. So let's say that protein that makes adrenaline, you can have, or cortisol. Childhood traumatic events can make it so you produce excess cortisol pretty much throughout your life.
Specifically childhood traumatic events, or can it be adult?
It can be adult as well, but when you're a child, that's much more imprinting like on your psyche. Like the first 7 to 10 years, you're very, very impressionable. Can absolutely happen in adulthood as well.
Yeah.
But most people have these childhood traumatic events. They suppress the memories. They're not really aware of these things, and then they carry on throughout their life being very hypervigilant or very codependent on people. Yeah. So it's always a mixture of both. I never want to be misconstrued as the guy saying, take my magic pills, it'll fix everything, because that's just one part of the whole thing. There's
because your whole thing is personalized medicine. There is no one size fits all, and it makes so much sense if you really just think about it. I mean, no one person or no two people are the same at all in anything, and so why in the world would we think that his anxiety, her anxiety, and that anxiety all could be fixed by taking a Xanax?
Yeah, and see, Xanax acts on one of the major anti-anxiety pathways, but I think the vast majority of people don't need that. There's certain supplements that can be mimicking similar pathways. Now, obviously, it's not going to work as well as a Xanax. These synthetic pharmaceutical drugs, they work extremely potently, but then you get addicted. You take it for a week, or even for a couple of months, you try to stop. Like, I've worked with people getting them off of whether it's benzos like Xanax or Adderall, antidepressant medications.
Zoloft, does that fit into the same?
Yeah, that's a antidepressant one as well. They also use that for anxiety as well. And
what would you, because I have a specific friend who actually has been really trying to come off of Zoloft, and she's been on and off it for years. I mean, I think
they were designed to be used for a couple of months. Like they were meant to be used. Let's just say you had something very traumatic, like close family member died, and you're just shell shocked. You're
right.
It was meant to stabilize you. And then you start therapy, and then that's just a temporary tool. It's meant to stabilize. These were not meant to be consumed for years or decades on end, but
they are.
They are.
I mean, we all know people who've been on those drugs. Our dad was addicted to painkillers for years, and this type of thing. I mean, the zombie drug, the antidepressant that you just stay on it 2 a day, every day for 30 years. It just feels like, I mean, in her case at least, very, very, very difficult to stop. I mean, she experienced panic attacks the first week that she kind of stopped entirely.
Yep.
What would you tell someone like that to do? I mean, what is a stepping stone to stop doing that?
Yeah, so, first I just wanted to mention too, a perfect example is you say, hey doc, I'm depressed. They give you a Zoloft, which raises serotonin. They don't even check. What if it's a mutation in dopamine pathways? They have low dopamine. You're going to be jacking up their serotonin that's already normal. And you're going to be doubling up, so all zombie side effects zoned out, and you're not going to be fixing the dopamine issues at all.
Right.
So why flip side with Adderall? Hey, I can't focus. Well, take an Adderall. How do they know it's a dopamine issue? I've worked with so many people that have that mutation. I think you might have where dopamine's not an issue. They're on Adderall for years, and that's not an issue for them, and that's causing so much more side effects. Like their fingers and hands get so cold because they have so much dopamine and adrenaline constricting their blood vessels.
Or as kids too. I mean, whenever
that drives me nuts with the children.
Worst? Well, they tried to get that. They tried to make my mom put me on it.
Yeah.
They told me, he needs Ritalin.
Yeah.
This kid is not living here with the rest of us. You got to get him on something. And she was like, hell no. I'm not giving him a single thing. He'll figure it out. Like, yeah, he's weird, but give him time. We'll get him. He'll get there. But I mean, that seems just crazy to me because, like you said, kids are so malleable. I mean, your brain, you're weird. You're weird when you're 12 years old. Everything's weird. And give it time.